Donald Trump burst out shouting, insisting that the accusations related to the Epstein case are all fake, made up, and that the court actually acquitted him.
I'm not a rapist. I didn't rape anybody. I'm not a pedophile. Was he referring to you? Excuse me? I'm not a pedophile. You read that crap from some sick person.
Trump lashed out at the American press and still responded to the manifesto of the shooter who attempted to assassinate the US president the day before during a dinner with journalists. In an interview with the CBS news program 60 Minutes the day after the shooting at a hotel in Washington, Trump first bravely talked about how he wasn't worried and even refused help. The Secret Service's help, as they rushed in to save him because he wasn't afraid of the shooter and wanted to look him straight in the eye. But at some point, Trump's mood in the interview suddenly changed and he started yelling at the journalist for reading part of the previously published manifesto of the shooter who attempted to assassinate Trump. Trump admitted that he himself had read the manifesto, but immediately began to defend himself, saying that he is not a rapist, not a pedophile, and not a criminal at all, as the shooter claimed. But here's an interesting point. The thing is, the shooter never mentioned Donald Trump's name in the manifesto, but for some reason Trump took all those words personally. Let's analyze this interview now. My name is Alexei Peachy. Let's discuss this topic together. But before we start, I ask you to subscribe to the channel, like this episode, and leave any comment under this video. Also, subscribe to my Telegram channel, Peachy News. The link to it is in the description of this video. So, to be fully aware of what's happening, I recommend you watch my previous episode where we go through the very manifesto of the shooter at the Hilton Hotel in Washington point by point. And almost a day after the shooting at that hotel in Washington, Trump gave an interview to the CBS news program 60 Minutes, and from the very beginning, something went wrong. But first, Donald Trump stated that he wasn't worried at all when this past Saturday he was evacuated from the White House Correspondents Association dinner after an armed man tried to break into the hall. Again, I've already shared all the details on this YouTube channel, so I won't repeat myself in case you missed it. Pause this video, go to the channel, watch the previous couple of episodes, you'll be fully up to speed, and then come back here. Moreover, Trump even claimed that he is so bold and brave that he even held up the Secret Service. They were saving him, but he wanted to see everything with his own eyes and assess the situation himself. Next, I will quote Donald Trump.
What happened?
Well, what happened, it was a bit about me. I wanted to see what happened.
The evacuation situation might have looked chaotic, and partly because of me. I wanted to see for myself what was happening. Maybe I wasn't making their job any easier. Over time, we started to think that this could be a serious problem, something completely different and unpleasant, not just the usual noise in the hall that's always there. There were really good people around me, but maybe I held them up a bit. I told them, wait a little. Give me 1 more minute. I want to see. Just wait.
I said, wait a minute, let me see, wait a minute. So, I'm saying...
Well, with these words, Trump also explained another controversial point. A video has spread on social media showing Secret Service agents first escorting Vice President J.D. Vance from the event just moments before Trump himself was evacuated. This led some to question the evacuation order, saying the president should go first, followed by the vice president, then cabinet members, and so on. And now Trump has stated that it was his own decision because he wanted to bravely face the threat himself. But then the interview clearly went off script. It happened at the very moment when the host referred to the shooter's manifesto. In an interview with the program 60 Minutes, President Trump called Norah O'Donnell from CBS disgraceful. After she mentioned the comments that were made about him, supposedly about him by the shooter at the White House Correspondents Association dinner in his manifesto, why do I say supposedly? That supposedly referred to Trump because only Trump thinks it was about him. You'll understand in a moment. I talked about the manifesto itself in the previous episode. Take a look. And so the host O'Donnell asked Trump about his reaction to the manifesto and the accusation that apparently the suspect made against him, to which Trump responded quite fiercely, quote,
What is your reaction to this?
I was waiting for you to read it because I knew...
That you would read it because I knew you would do it since you are terrible people? Yes, he wrote that, but I'm not a rapist or a pedophile. I haven't raped anyone. I'm not a pedophile. Are you reading this nonsense from some sick person? I was associated with things that have nothing to do with me. I was completely acquitted of all charges. Your friends on the other side of the aisle are the ones who were involved, let's say, in Epstein's affairs or other similar incidents.
But I told myself that I would do this interview, and I read the manifesto. He's a sick person.
Well, I mean, Trump was really affected by what was written in the manifesto, yes, so much so that he lashed out at the journalist. He himself began to defend himself because the shooter allegedly called him a rapist and a pedophile. For some reason, he himself started bringing up the Epstein files, even though there wasn't a single word about that in the shooter's manifesto. But then Trump admitted, quote, I read this manifesto. You know, he's a sick person, but you should be ashamed. You should be ashamed that you're reading this because I'm not like that. It's interesting that when the host emphasized that these words weren't actually hers, but the shooter's, and she was just quoting them, Trump interrupted her and said, quote, you shouldn't be reading this on the 60 Minutes program. You're a disgrace. You should be ashamed. But go on. Let's finish the interview. You're disgraceful. And it turned out that just one uncomfortable question was enough for Trump to resume hostile actions toward the press less than 24 hours after the assassination attempt at Trump's dinner with that very same press. It's interesting that Trump rejected the suggestion that he, as a president who has already survived 3 assassination attempts in 2 years, could do anything to change this trajectory of political violence in the United States. He says it's already a tradition, so there's no point in doing anything, but for some reason he was quick to blame whom? Of course, the Democrats. Next, another quote from Trump. If you go back 20, 40, 100, 200, 500 years, it was always there. And I'm not sure it's more relevant now than it was before. I really believe that the hate-filled statements of the Democrats, and that's even more dangerous, pose a greater threat. I really think it's very dangerous for the country. But Trump also admitted that he was planning at that very evening with the journalists to give them a beating, to destroy and humiliate them. Quote, I was fully prepared to tear everyone to shreds. I don't know if I could ever be as harsh as I was planning to be. Well, in that room there was a festive atmosphere. It felt like the whole country had come together. It was amazing. It made a big impression. And at the end of this episode, I'll remind you of the shooter's quote that made Trump so furious during this interview. Here's the quote. I will no longer allow a pedophile, a rapist, and a traitor to cover my hands with their crimes. To which Trump replied, quote, I'm not a rapist. I never raped anyone. I'm not a pedophile. Although I want to emphasize once again, the name Donald Trump is not mentioned even once in the entire manifesto. The shooter never directly mentions Trump at all. That's an interesting point.
I'm not a rapist. I haven't raped anyone. Oh, you think he's referring to you? Wait. I'm not a pedophile. Are you reading that crap from some sick person?
I'll leave it at that. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments below this episode. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like. If you want to support the work of this YouTube channel, you can do so with any donation or a paid channel membership using the links and details in the description of this video. There are all kinds of options there. Or just use the QR code on your screen. That's the easiest way to support this channel. I would really appreciate it. That's all for now. Take care. Goodbye, everyone.